Racing is finally back, and it looks like the start of 2025 will be all about the Red Bull Junior team. Hello and welcome, fellow motorsports fans. The Formula Regional Oceania Championship is about to kick off the 2025 season, and I figured that deserves a quick preview and predictions video to introduce this year's rather exciting grid. Far and away, the top team in the series year after year has been Mtech Competition, and given the lineup they are fielding, this is not going to change. Red Bull Junior Arvid Lindblad is comfortably the best driver on the grid, at least on paper, and despite only 2 years out of karts, does obviously have a year of F3 under his belt, so he is very used to the speeds, even if not the exact car. Given how quickly he picked up the F3 car, no doubt he'll be the man to beat in this series. It will be very interesting to see who can rise up to challenge him over the 5-week season though. 2 drivers stand out as his most likely competition, and he does share the team with one of them. Nikita Johnson, probably America's hottest prospect for the European ladder at the moment, will come over to New Zealand and hopefully put up a good fight. I do think Lindblad is on another level, but we can definitely expect a few Johnson wins and a very good chance at P2 overall. The rest of the team does vary a bit more in quality, it has to be said. Matias Zagazeta is keeping himself busy in between F3 stints, and by all accounts he is a solid driver all things considered, but he will get absolutely wrecked by Lindblad and probably Nikita Johnson all things considered. But at least there is a very good chance he will prove the quality of F3 overall by still being one of the faster drivers on the grid across the season. Michael Shin, on the other hand, is a very curious case, the late starter in racing and seemingly still just trying to gather as much experience as he can, even though the end goal does remain a bit of a mystery to me. Hopefully he shouldn't be too far off Zagazeta, but honestly, he isn't someone you'd expect to win a race on merit. Sebastian Manson and Enzo Ye are the big X factors. Neither of them has a lot of data to look back on. Really, what has happened to Enzo Ye last season? He kind of just disappeared. If anyone knows, please let me know down in the comments below. Either way, Manson might be the weakest driver on the squad on paper, but he is both a local and experienced in the car, so combined with a couple solid races last year, he might actually be good for a surprise or two. Enzo Ye, on the other hand, I literally don't know what to expect, but at least I don't think he'll shit the bed completely. Despite M2 being the overwhelming favourites as a team, Mtech Competition should still be able to put up a fight. They have assembled an interesting lineup led by Josh Pierson. Pierson, a guy who, in my humble opinion, is a lot better in an LMP2 than in any open wheeler I've seen him race, but this is still the level of competition you'd expect him to do quite well in. Don't expect him to stand up to Lindblad at all either, but anything other than dominating his own teammates would be a huge disappointment in my opinion. Zach Scular and Patrick Heusenroder are coming over from a season of European competition, both with very mixed success. Heusenroder has experience in quicker cars, but has never been more of a mediocre midfielder really for my money, while Scular had an excellent debut over the winter last year, only to really disappear a bit over the British F4 season. Certainly a cool little underdog, but I feel he has a lot more skill than he has been able to show so far. Nicolas Montero is a decent but not exactly outstanding driver over from the USF Pro 2000, but at least given the level of competition he is used to from over there, I'd expect him to slot right into the midfield over here. Last but not least, Sean Rashid as the 5th man is a really curious case. 29 years old and only 3 years of racing properly under his belt, and yet opting to chase a dream in single-seaters for some reason. Almost makes you want to root for him, at least for me, but given the fact he has been firmly backmarking everywhere in his career so far, I have no reason to believe that'll change here. Giles Motorsport feels the most surprising name on the entry list by a huge margin. Aussie Supercars champ Will Brown has elected to hop back into single-seaters for the first time since 2016, and I'm sure both the title and the New Zealand Grand Prix are the clear targets. While Again, I do doubt he can stand up to Lindblad or maybe even Johnson. If anyone on this grid can come out of left field to dominate the year, it would definitely be him. Not really sure what to expect aside from a great show, but hey, at the end of the day, that's what we all tune in for. Unfortunately, his teammates are a little overwhelming. Barrett Wolff and Alex Crosby both coming over from the massively struggling US F4 scene and therefore aren't expected to do particularly well. Especially Wolff has been nothing but backmarking and might be the single worst driver on this grid, unfortunately. On the other hand, Crosby has at least been front running in the weak fields he has competed in, so I am at least a little optimistic there. Last but not least on the team's front, Kiwi Motorsport, of course, also fielding a fleet of 3 cars with Nicholas Stati as another US F4 representative with Jet Bowling and James Lawley. I'll be honest, this lineup isn't particularly inspiring either, but at least Stati has shown some glimpses of potential over his F4 stint, and Jet Bowling is a solid enough Formula Regional Americas runner and can therefore be expected to do just fine here. James Lawley may have also been in the Formula Regional Americas, but as part of a struggling one-car team and therefore nearly impossible to judge, I do expect nothing, but I am ready for a positive surprise. If you want to hear more about what it is like to drive these Formula Regional cars in both the American and the Oceania series, then do yourself a favor and check out this interview here with Titus Sherlock, who has competed in both series last season. I normally don't like cross-promoting my own content too much, but this interview really has an unacceptably low view count for the insightful conversation we were having, so please give that a watch if you haven't already. And otherwise, as always, I thank you all for watching, and I hope to catch you next week when we can finally kick off another year of Race Week Review properly.